When I say the word sweatshop, what words, connotations, and emotions do you immediately think of? You may be thinking long hours, dangerous conditions, and low wages. And now I don't want to work in a sweatshop, and I don't want to ever have to work in a sweatshop. And I can imagine that you guys wouldn't want to have to work in one either. But that's not the case for all people. I was able to sit in at a lecture at UNCW from Dr. Ben Powell, an author and economist, and was introduced to the idea that sweatshops are actually essential to the economy today. So today I'm going to share with you why sweatshops are better than the alternative occupations, why they pay higher than the national average income, and play a key role in developing a country. So sweatshops are better than alternative options. So people oftentimes say sweatshops are bad, but according to the Adam Smith Institute, it states the importance of asking the question, compared to what? See, the people that are working in these sweatshops, they're living in extreme poverty. And compared to their alternative options, oftentimes sweatshops are the lesser of two evils. So a common argument against sweatshops is that they're more dangerous, which it's very true that they are dangerous. But compared to their other options, they are just equally or more dangerous. Their other options are equally or more dangerous. So there was a situation where a sweatshop collapsed in Bangladesh in 2013, and it killed over 1,000 people, and it injured 2,000, closer to 2,500. So these situations are awful, but you have to ask the question, what are their other options? So often, those in these developing countries, they work in agriculture if they're not working in sweatshops. And there's a really popular type of agriculture in these areas called subsistence farming. So basically what that is when they're farming for their own resources, basically providing what they need just to survive. And in India, 59% of their population are farmers. But did you know that this is the most dangerous occupation in the world, with 250 million accidents yearly and over 170,000 deaths yearly out of 350,000 total deaths in the workplace per year across the whole world? So people are oftentimes faced between a situation that's bad or worse. An example of this is in 1993 when Tom Harkin, who was the U.S. Senator, proposed a ban on imports with children working in sweatshops, on all countries that had children working in sweatshops, which, that makes sense that he would do this. But the bad part is that it worked. Bangladesh laid off 50,000 kids, and what happened is they ended up switching to alternative methods, such as prostitution and begging in the streets. You see, these children needed to work to provide for themselves and for their family, and taking away their best option isn't a logical solution to the problem. So, not only are sweatshops safer and more desirable, but they receive higher wages than many in their surrounding areas. So in Bangladesh, your average worker at a sweatshop is going to make just over $2 a day, which that sounds like not a lot at all, right? But according to Forbes, in Bangladesh, 77% of people make less than $2 a day, and 43% of people make less than $1.25 per day. So that shows that in Bangladesh, if you're working in a sweatshop, there's a good chance that you're making more than the average person. And that's the case across almost all countries that are developing. Most sweatshops pay more than the national average income. In 1996, a woman named Kathy Lee was accused of exploiting children in sweatshops by the National Labor Association. So what the National Labor Association did is they flew a worker, a 15-year-old girl, from a sweatshop that she was working in to have an interview with Kathy Lee. And basically, she sat down, and the woman, Kathy Lee, she started crying and apologized to this 15-year-old girl named Wendy Diaz that she's not paying the workers in these sweatshops enough money. Do you know how much she paid her? She paid workers 31 cents per hour, which in an average day, they'd be making $3.10. But in that country, 50% made less than $2 and 25% made less than $1. So her paying $3.10 actually paid a lot more than most people in the nation were making. So this graph that I'm showing you is comparing the apparel industry's wages to the national average income. And as you can see, if you're working 50 hours per week, in 9 out of these 10 countries, they're paid more than the average income. And so what oftentimes happens is that these sweatshop workers are really working more, like 60 or 70 hours a week. And in that case, 8 out of the 10 countries are getting paid double the average national income. And if you can see, some of these countries, like Nicaragua, they're making up to 600 or 700% what the national average income is. So sweatshops typically provide individuals with more money than the average income, but they also help these countries grow. So sweatshops allow for countries to develop and to grow the economy. An increase in sweatshops causes a shift from agriculture to manufacturing. And according to the Lewis model, what that is it compares agriculture to manufacturing. And so what that states is that if there's too many people working agriculture, then what that has is you have too many farmers working the same tasks, and it causes a decrease in productivity because those same farmers have to do more tasks, right? So a shift from agriculture to manufacturing, having even more sweatshops and even more sweatshop jobs, what that does is it actually doesn't impact it actually increases the agricultural productivity because there's less people working the same jobs, and it increases manufacturing, which then can lead to industrialized countries and a boost in manufacturing. So these more sweatshops, they even bring new technology and new competition. So as these companies are using sweatshops, there's new technology developed, and it leads to more productivity. So what this does is it leads to changes in the conditions that these people are working in, and then eventually the wages that they're making. And as there's more sweatshops and more competition, it's equaling higher wages. So these sweatshops play a huge role in developing and developed countries, right? So the United States, it took the US over 100 years to develop. But newer countries like Japan and South Korea, it's only taken them about 30 years. So an increase in sweatshop jobs will actually, with the new technology that we have today, will allow for these countries to develop faster, to lead to a better economy, and allow for these better jobs for the people in the future. So in conclusion, sweatshops are a better occupation compared to alternatives provided to many developing countries, and they pay more than the national average income, and they play a key role in the growth of the economy and the country. So an increase in the sweatshop work actually has the potential to grow an economy, allow for better work conditions and wages, and improve the future of generations to come. So the next time you hear to not buy from a company that uses sweatshops, think of the benefits if you did.